G'day, I'm Papa Luigi. Welcome to my Aussie Blokes honest review of Formula 1 98 for the PlayStation. Now, in my previous video about F1 Racing Championship, I claimed that was the worst F1 game ever. Boy, was I wrong. I'd forgotten about this steaming pile of garbage. You see, Formula 1 98 was the third game to come out for the PlayStation 1, and it followed hot in the heels of other successful titles such as Formula 1 and Formula 1 97, which to me were two of the greatest Formula 1 games ever. They were revolutionary. So when F1 98 was available to hire through my local Blockbuster video in late 1998, boy was I excited. I thought it was going to be an evolution of the previous two fantastic F1 games. But once I put it in my PlayStation, I was instantly shocked. First of all, the game just looked terrible. They didn't even look like the beautiful F1 cars we'd seen in previous games. The cockpit view looked like something out of a 16-bit Mega Drive game, and then when you took the upper view, it looked awful. The wheels didn't even look round, the suspension looked rubbish, the graphics overall just looked terrible, and the way that the car looked in proportion to the track and everything, it just wasn't good at all. Now, video games aren't all just about graphics, but when graphics are terrible, it really stands out, and this game was disgusting. The other cars looked awful. The scenery was very slow to develop. There was so much breakup of polygons and pixels and everything like that, it just distracted from the game. You see, Psygnosis, they moved away from their previous developers and this time around went with Visual Science. And it's like the guys never got this out of beta testing. This looks like it's still a concept game. Look, the car just looks awful. And it's not just about the graphics, it's little things like the interface here. The menu system's awful. They don't even call it car setup. They call it car options. It's like these guys had never actually had anything to do with Formula 1 before. And then when you go to save games, you can't save multiple setups or championships or anything like that. It all just gets saved as one overwrite, one block in your memory card system. So let's have a look at how bad this game was. This is an overview of Schumacher racing around Suzuka in F1 98. Don't just look at how bad his car looks and his bad head bobbing around behind that see-through air intake, but look at the track. The racing lines breaking up and zigzagging, appearing part of the scenery is going away, and it's so slow to develop. It's like the system can't cope. And they obviously couldn't do the cockpit very well, and they've gone for some sort of rubbish 16-bit Mega Drive setup. Now compare it to Formula 1 97, which was the previous game from a different developer. And it just looks beautiful, it just flows smoothly, it flows nicely. The track isn't breaking up so much, the car looks good, the wheels are round, you can actually see bits of the cockpits and everything like that.
Up into fifth.
So overall, F1 98 was a huge step backwards from F1 97. But let's compare it to the game before that, Formula 1, which was released in 1996, 2 years earlier. And you can see how bad F1 98 is in comparison even to this very first game. Like, look at the Williams ahead. It's a beautifully sculpted car, it looks good. You're looking at Hakkinen's McLaren Mercedes. The chassis looks proper, the wings are good, the tyres are actually round. Now look up ahead as we come around the corner here, the casino pops in the view properly. We're not getting bits of the scenery breaking up and disappearing and slow to react. This track has got to be one of the most intensive from a processor point of view tracks to play, yet the developers did an amazing job. Now as we come through the tunnel, you'll see, there's a little bit of breakup in some of the polygons and whatnot as we come through, but compare it to F1 98 and you'll be shocked how bad the third game was. Straight away, look at the car, it looks terrible. The scenery, awful. Look at those cars, they don't look like Formula 1 cars, they look like some of your dodging cars. Boom, look at that. Ugh. More dodging car action. As you come up the hill, look how slow the scenery is to pop up. Makes it so hard to play and it's so distracting. And look at all the tarmac and everything splitting. It's just an awful, awful game.
He's managed to get past the McLaren of David Coulthard. Well, he's made it through a hectic start. He's just got to keep it up now.
That's easier said than done, although there's still a long way to go in this race.
Now as we come through the tunnel, look how much it's breaking up. It's like you're watching through an analog TV or something like that, that old school video footage. But it would be cool if they did that on purpose, but they didn't. As another example, this is Spa, racing on board with Verstappen. No, not Max Verstappen, Max's dad Jos Verstappen in the Steward Ford. Forgetting about how bad his car looks, look at how slow the scenery is to develop. Just suddenly bits of it will pop up into place, and the track up ahead you can't even see it coming. Very slow to develop, which makes it incredibly hard to pick your racing line. Now let's go back and compare it to F1 97, again racing with Jos Verstappen, this time in a Tyrrell Ford. And it just looks beautiful, it just looks right, it's smooth, things are flowing nicely, you can see the corners coming. The scenery, yeah, it can be a little bit slow in some busy patches, but it's popping up at a much faster rate, a much better gaming experience despite it being an older game. Now we know that good games aren't just about graphics, it's about how a game plays. And this is what makes this game so utterly disappointing as well. It's impossible to corner at times around tracks. So look at this slow speed section around Monaco. It's so hard to get around. Anytime you want to use the accelerator, it's not even understeer, it just doesn't even turn. If you want to get around slow speed corners like this, the hairpin at Japan, you've just got to creep around despite full control input. I couldn't tune it out in the settings or car setup. Good way to get around though, just lock up the rears.
And there's a spin, I don't believe
Handbrake turns, it feels like you're doing, but that's not how F1 cars work. Now let's look at some of these first lap shenanigans. And again, the crash model on this is pretty bad. It's like you're playing dodging cars, you just bounce off the other guys. And then they suddenly just all come to an immediate stop whenever they see you coming back onto the track. There's no avoiding action, slowing down, anything like that. It's completely unrealistic the way the AI interacts. Again, first corner in the Monaco, and I just bounce off everyone. Boom, there they go. And then I go to pass Irvine here on the right. Oh, just gets out of the way. Out of the way he gets. Terrible, terrible AI.
He definitely hit Coulthard. He's hit Hakkinen.
Now, if gameplay and graphics weren't bad enough, listen to the sound. So here I am.
Yes, Michael Schumacher's overtaken him.
Michael Schumacher's overtaken him. What?
He flies past Irvine.
He flies past Irvine. I hadn't even passed him. I just passed Frentzen.
It's so true that it's easier to chase than be chased, but he's handling the pressure very well.
Alexander Wurz moves past him beautifully there.
Alex Wurz was nowhere near me. What are you talking about, Murray?
He's been overtaken by Eddie Irvine.
I overtook him. I wasn't overtaken by him.
The rain stayed away so far, but I don't think it'll be too long before the track's wet.
When they're not giving incorrect overtaking calls, they either sit there saying nothing, or you hear them nutter on about the weather.
He fights his way past Frentzen.
I thought Schumacher overtook me. That had nothing to do with Frentzen. So overall, Formula 1 98 has got to be the biggest botch of a Formula 1 game ever.
Schumacher's overtaken him.
Terrible gameplay, terrible graphics, terrible everything. That was the last time Psygnosis used visual science, and thank Christ for that. Looking down here at Google, it says 76% of people like this video game. If you like this video game, you're missing brain cells. Anyway, love to hear what you think. Was this the worst Formula 1 game ever? If you agree, if you played it, I'd love to hear what you think below in the comments. Or if you disagree and you think there's something worse, let me know and I'll check it out. While you're there, I'd really like a subscribe, a like, tell your friends about my channel. Appreciate it. Anyway, that's enough from me. If you want to see just how bad this game is, watch through the playthrough of the various races. Maybe take a trip down memory lane, just how god awful this pile of shit was.
Just waiting for the lights. What a tremendous start to the Monaco Grand Prix. Incredible. He flies past Irvine. He definitely hit Coulthard. Managed to get past the McLaren of David Coulthard. Well, he's made it through a hectic start. He's just got to keep it up now.
That's easier said than done, although there's still a long way to go in this race.
Schumacher's overtaken him. Hakkinen leads. Surely that crash could have been avoided. Hakkinen leads. That's got to go down as careless driving, Martin. Hakkinen has won. It's a win for Mika Hakkinen. The light sequence is underway. The Japanese Grand Prix is go. Michael Schumacher leads. And there's a spin, I don't believe it. Michael Schumacher leads. Michael Schumacher wins for Ferrari, a great result for the double world champion. Michael Schumacher wins for Ferrari, a great result for the... They're all in position, the lights are on. A great start at Monza for the Italian Grand Prix. And he's lost a place to Frentzen. I think he hit Giornalisi. He's lost a place to Ralph Schumacher. Damon Hill moves past him beautifully.
The former world champion won't give up a position quite as easily as that, I'm afraid.
And he's lost a place to Frentzen. I don't think so, says Damon Hill as he closes the door. He's managed to get past the McLaren of David Coulthard. So far, the weather's held up well, but those rain clouds up there could change everything.
They do look a bit threatening up there. Let's just hope we don't get rain.
Michael Schumacher wins for Ferrari, a great result for the double world champion. The light sequence is underway. They're off. The Belgian Grand Prix gets off to a furious start.
It's so true that it's easier to chase than be chased, but he's handling the pressure very well.
Alexander Wurz moves past him beautifully there. He fights his way past Frentzen. He fights his way past Frentzen. He's overtaken Michael Schumacher's Ferrari. The rain stayed away so far, but I don't think it'll be too long before the track's wet.
If it does start to rain, team tactics will become the real decider in today's race.
So far, the weather's held up well, but those rain clouds up there could change everything.
They do look a bit threatening up there. Let's just hope we don't get rain. It's Verstappen.
The warm-up lap is over. The red lights are on. The British Grand Prix gets off to a flyer. What a fabulous blast off. Yes, Michael Schumacher's overtaken him. He's been overtaken by Hakkinen.
He finds out that Mika Hakkinen isn't prepared to give away his position that easily.
Frentzen leads. And he goes slam bang into the barriers. He'll really have to be careful from now on. Yes, Michael Schumacher's overtaken him. He's hit Michael Schumacher.
Yes, Murray, it was Jarno Trulli.
He's overtaken Michael Schumacher's Ferrari.
I don't know if that spin was down to the car or just bad driving.
I think you're being a bit kind there, Martin. It looked like he just pushed a bit too hard. Hakkinen leads. He flies past Irvine. He's been overtaken by Eddie Irvine. Yes, Michael Schumacher's overtaken him. He's overtaken Michael Schumacher's Ferrari. Michael Schumacher closes the door on him this time. He's hit Michael Schumacher.
Yes, Murray, it was Jarno Trulli.
Hakkinen has won. It's a win for Mika Hakkinen. The whole team have worked so hard for that result. They'll be delighted to be on the podium and to have 6 championship points in the bag. Hakkinen has won. It's a win for Mika Hakkinen. The whole team have worked so hard for that result. They'll be delighted to be on the podium and to have 6 championship points in the bag.
Great stuff! What a race!
Schumacher leads. If he can keep this kind of speed up, he'll be looking at a good grid position. And there's a spin, I don't believe it. It's not enough to be lucky, you've got to be good. And he is that.